Daily Trust News Center. This is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, Council of State directs CBN to print more currency or allow old notes coexist with new ones. Court of Appeal recognizes Sadiq Wali as Kano PDP governorship candidate. Troops kill 4 bandits, recover guns in Kaduna. And on the foreign scene, Kurdish militants suspend offensive for rescue operations in Turkey. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Sagir Ibrahim. Now the news in detail. The National Council of State has declared its support for the Naira redesign policy of the federal government. The highest advisory council in the country is also convinced that all preparations are in order for the conduct of the 2023 general election scheduled to hold later this month. Minister of Justice and Attorney General Abubakar Malami revealed this on Friday while addressing newsmen at State House, Abuja, at the end of the council meeting. Kehinde Amodu reports.
The queues at banks and at automated teller machines are yet to subside, despite the judgment of the Supreme Court suspending the deadline for the withdrawal of old notes from the system. Yet after a lengthy meeting, the National Council of State seems to be in support of the Naira redesign policy. All it just suggests is for the Central Bank of Nigeria to do more to make the new Naira notes available across the country.
The policy stands, but then the Council agreed that there is need for aggressive action on the part of the Central Bank as it relates to the implementation of the policy by way of ensuring adequate provision being made with particular regard to the supply of the Naira in the system.
Many views were proffered, particularly that the CBN governor should look into making sure that money is available, the new money is available in quantum. And there were suggestions too that if the new money is not in a circulation or printing them could be difficult, the old money that hasn't been changed could be recirculated and pumped into circulation to ease the tension.
Sources say some of the attendees at the meeting were aggrieved with how the council discussed the Naira controversy. Senate President Ahmad Lawan and the National Assembly are adopting the stance that the new Naira notes should run alongside the old notes until they are gradually faded out.
Countries have been doing the same thing. And to say that in 3 months it will be okay, it's not okay. And especially in a country like ours, where maybe 80, 85, or even 90% of the population have no access to banks. When Britain changed their currency, I don't know whether 20 pounds or 50 pounds, it took them over a year to change. And validity remains that even the old one you receive has been a legal tender. So why ours? We are not cashless yet. That society is cashless already, and they need even more time.
In all of this, there is still uncertainty about the deadline for the withdrawal of the old notes, which ended on Friday. To cap it all, there is no indication that the council had called for an extension of the deadline for the use of old Naira notes. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
Meanwhile, the National Council of State also says it is convinced that the Independent National Electoral Commission is fully prepared to successfully conduct the general elections later in the month. The highest advisory body in the country was briefed on Friday on steps that had been taken to overcome the challenges ahead of the polls. These include the dislocations with fuel distribution and flashes of insecurity in the country. The consensus after the briefing by the electoral umpire was that the elections were good to go on the 25th of February and 11th of March this year.
The 2 elections of 25th February and 11th March, they are fully ready. He's given assurances that everything that they require, they have. And even in places where there's been a few disruptions, that they are convinced that they can bounce back. And specific mention were made of one or two places where they said they've recovered and that they've given the country assurance that everything that needs to be done to have the election at the set date are on track.
Also, workers in Abuja want the Nigerian government to reverse the Naira redesign policy, as currency scarcity has pushed many of them out of business. Trust TV's Kabir Lawal speaks to some menial workers who do not have bank accounts on how they are coping since the introduction of the new policy. Take a look.
The initial deadline for old Naira notes to cease from circulation as legal tender expires Friday, except that the ruling of Supreme Court has rendered it inconsequential, bringing temporary relief to many Nigerians. However, workers want a quick fix to Naira crisis in the country. They say the nature of their job requires cash payment for the job done, and hence they are worse hit by the Naira redesign policy. They further explained that the new policy came at the wrong time, when to get money to buy foodstuff is very difficult for most poor people.
I think the policy is not a bad one, but I think the timing is wrong. And also, we've not gotten to that state that we'll be depending on transfer, because it's not working. Like my business has been very slow because I can't pay people and people can't pay me. As I'm talking to you now, you see me sitting down here. I'm thinking of how to pay people and how to retrieve my money, which is very incongruous and abysmal. If we're going to set any policy, let's look at the timing and make sure every apparatus will work very well and give us a good result at the end.
Ross, it's not a small thing. It affected me. The challenge is not here. It's too strong for all of us. And I don't think if we keep going like this, I don't know what will happen next. Because for me to buy my own currency in my country, maybe I want to withdraw. Like yesterday, I wanted to even owe money. I paid 1,000 naira to withdraw to have just 5,000 naira. So it's really getting hard. Sometimes there will be no network. Some will come, they want to transfer. Like I have missed some works, like a couple of days ago. Somebody wants to transfer and there was no network at that point in time. So the guy left. He left. He didn't come back. He didn't come back to me again. So it's really affecting our work.
They said the cash transfer policy has denied them patronage, as their customers also lack the cash to pay for their services.
This thing is really affecting everybody in business, everybody generally. All businesses are affected. As you can see, by now I'm supposed to be doing work, but there is nothing I'm doing now. I'm still waiting for customers to come. And have it in mind, if they don't have cash, they won't come around. And the transfer transaction is not that going because of our network. You understand? And I don't really just understand what is going on. The thing is really affecting our business.
Some Abuja residents also said the hardship on them is much, adding that the policy has crippled businesses.
It has affected me badly. How? You keep money in a bank in Nigeria when you know the network is not strong here. A younger brother once lived in Joburg in South Africa. If you transfer money to somebody, the money is not dropping. It comes to you immediately. It doesn't take days. And Nigeria, we are always dropping down. We have not gotten to that level of operation when it comes to banking.
Nigerians are hoping that President Muhammadu Buhari will take decision on the matter quickly to restore orderliness. Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Well, still on the Naira scarcity, dry season farmers in Bauchi have appealed to the federal government to have a rethink on the CBN new Naira notes policy, adding that the action has multiple effects on Nigerians, including local farmers. The farmers made the call while commenting on the recent scarcity of the new Naira notes and withdrawal policy. Adamu Imam reports.
Mohammed Altine is a dry season farmer in Firo community of Ganjo local government area of Bauchi State, who devoted his life in agricultural activities for many years. He said the CBN new Naira notes and withdrawal policy has thrown the local farmer into an untold hardship. Lack of cash has made things difficult for us. We always go to town and get money. But with this development, our farmland remain unattended due to lack of money to buy fuel and sort other logistics needed for the crops to grow. Some of us who even have bank accounts cannot access cash at ATM points. He said about 80% or more local farmers at the rural areas have no bank accounts, no access to online money transfers. Some farmers, on the other hand, perceive the policy as a good development that came at the wrong time. They are therefore call on the federal government to realign the policy after much sensitization campaign on the rural dwellers. This policy has affected us in many ways, especially in the area of buying fuel to pump and water the farms. I bought 1 gallon at 2,000 naira, and I need cash to pay laborers. My farm has started drying because I have to struggle to get money through other means. As a youth, I grew up and saw my family engage in farming in Fero community. We don't know any business outside farming, but this time around it is tedious for us due to cashless policy. We are still praying that the authorities address it soon. Despite Supreme Court ruling temporarily halting the February 10 deadline, the scarcity of the new notes still lingers, with long queues at the ATM and POS operators charging extra from those trying to withdraw. Commercial banks argue that the CBN is supplying only a few redesigned Naira notes to replace the demonetized notes, thus the scarcity. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
And in Jos, the capital city of Plateau, where petty traders have been thrown into confusion on whether or not to accept old Naira notes from their customers as the February 10th deadline by the Central Bank of Nigeria collection of old Naira notes elapses. The traders say they are now in a dilemma whether to collect the old Naira notes or reject it because of fear of losing their business capital. Ado Musa completes the report.
The confusion enveloped the traders even before the February 10 deadline, owing to the previous warnings that people must deposit their old Naira notes before the expiration of the deadline. Honestly, we are in a difficult situation. When I came out in the morning today, I refused to collect the old notes from my customers, but I later started collecting it when I listened to the news on the issue on radio. But even with that, we don't have a clear direction on the Naira notes. Today, the federal government will say this, and tomorrow it will say another thing. It is true that people have been thrown into confusion, but for those who listen to news will understand what is happening. Although there is confusion, but I still collect the old Naira notes because I have read different stories about it.
Yes, we are confused, and for me, I don't collect old notes because of fear of losing my money. Our businesses have been affected by the situation. My sales have reduced drastically because people don't have the new notes with them.
With many Nigerians thrown into confusion on the acceptance or otherwise of the old Naira notes, the traders, however, call on the federal government to address the issue. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Accord presidential candidate Professor Christopher Imumole has called on the federal government to declare a state of emergency in the petroleum and economic sector as Naira notes and fuel scarcity continue to impact Nigerians. Professor Imumole, who made the call during a media briefing at his party's national secretariat in Abuja, also added that the current predicament of Nigerians forms part of a calculated attempt by some people to scuttle the 2023 election. He then charged the government to look into the situation, which he says is causing unrest in several parts of the country.
It's a calculated attempt by some group of people to ensure that Nigeria do not have a democratically elected president. Nigerians are tired, Nigerians are suffering. You have money in the bank, yet you cannot access your money. Mobile apps are not working, Nigerians are frustrated. You don't have money to survive your family. You don't have money to move from one place to another. Jobs are closing up because of lack of funds. It has never happened in the history of this country as this. We call on the federal government to stand up and ensure that this situation is looked into. The situation has now fueled unrest in various parts of Nigeria, and I believe it is important an emergency is immediately called on, economic emergency, to salvage the situation.
And to security, troops of 1 Division Nigerian Army and air component of Operation Well Punch have neutralized 4 bandits and recovered arms and ammunition in an operation that lasted for 48 hours in Kaduna State. The Deputy Director, Army Public Relations, 1 Division Nigerian Army Lieutenant Colonel Musa Yahya, disclosed this through a statement issued on Thursday. Yahya said the operation was in continuation of the onslaught against banditry, kidnapping, terrorism and other criminal activities in the Northwest. Yahya disclosed that during the encounter, the troops engaged the criminals with heavy and superior firepower, capturing 1 AK-47 rifle, 20 rounds of 7.62mm special ammunition, 6 motorcycles, and neutralized 4 bandits, while others escaped with gunshot wounds. The General Officer commanding 1 Division, who is also the Force Commander, Operation Well Punch, Major General Taurid Lagbaja, expressed satisfaction with the conduct of the troops during the operation. The GOC urged all law-abiding citizens to continue to assist the military and other security agencies with timely and credible intelligence to terminate the bandits and terrorists. He also appealed to the people of the state to report persons with gunshot wounds seeking medical attention. And also, 1 person has been reportedly killed and properties destroyed by hoodlums in some suburbs in Makurdi in Benue State. It was gathered that trouble started in the North Bank suburb, where the hoodlums burnt houses, killed animals and destroyed properties. A source told Daily Trust that crisis had started as a disagreement between 2 young people, a male and female, on Thursday spread to the modern market area, causing traders and residents to close their shops and flee their homes. Police spokesperson in the State Superintendent of Police, Catherine Anene, confirmed that 1 person was killed and only 1 house was burnt, adding that peace has since returned to the area. And also, tension is high in Delta State, in a community in Delta State, as gunmen reportedly attacked a military troops, killing 4 soldiers and beheading a monarch in Kwale, Ndokwa West local government area of the state. The incident occurred along Kwale Road and is currently creating high tension as the army personnel also reportedly invaded the community. A resident told Daily Trust that the gunmen attacked the military personnel and killed 3 on the spot. Others who sustained injuries were rushed to the Federal Medical Center, where 1 of the injured officers later died. A source in the community urged the Delta State government and its security outfit, Operation Delta Hawk, to commence a thorough investigation on the incident and arrest persons involved in the senseless killing. When contacted for comment, the State Public Relations Officer, DSP Bright Edafe, confirmed the attack. You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break. Female circumcision worries Edo community. Do stay.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
At last, the elections are here. Let's turn out en masse on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as President of Nigeria for a renewed hope and a better Nigeria. Vote APC, the party that shows a broom.
Oh dear residents of the FCT, the dry season is here again, a time when the Harmattan haze is intense and combustibles burn faster. So be responsible and take precautions. Stop bush burning. Stop the sale of gas in areas not approved for such purpose. Make sure you put off all electric appliances when leaving home or the office. Remember, Fire is an obedient servant and a bad master, and has caused colossal damage to lives and property in our dear territory. Support FCT Emergency Management Agency today to prevent fire disaster. For any emergencies in the FCT, call FEMA on the 112 toll-free number or 080-5722-4574. FEMA, reducing disaster risk for a safe and happy FCT.
I remember this incident about you preach where Obasanjo was there. I believe it's 2005, where it became as if you are opposed to the third term.
Yes, third term, yes. But I put it nicely now, and I told you, Obasanjo doesn't want a third term. You people are pushing and talking nonsense.
You don't think putting it nicely would make it would make him happy?
Yes, yes.
But don't you think people see you as deliberately being a radical priest? I mean, because there is this tradition in the Catholic Church where you oppose power, you oppose corruption. Is it not a choice of making?
No, it's not radical, but it is opposing what is bad now. We cannot settle for what is bad. We cannot settle for what is bad. And you don't have to be radical to say no to what is bad. So whenever we have a government policy which we think is not fair on the people, we cannot keep quiet.
Welcome back. If you're just joining, this is News Hour on Trust TV. Now a recap of our top stories. Council of State directs CBN to print more currency or allow old notes coexist with new ones. Troops kill 4 bandits, recover guns in Kaduna. Moving on to other stories now, the senator representing Taraba South, Emmanuel Bwacha, has been declared winner of the Taraba State All Progressives Congress APC governorship rerun primary election. Chairman of the Electoral Committee, Tukur Burutai, while announcing the result of the primary which held in Jalingo, said that Senator Bwacha scored 778 votes to defeat his close challenger, Senator Yusuf, who polled 5 votes out of the 796 total votes cast in the exercise. A total of 840 delegates turned up for the exercise, but only 796 were accredited. Other aspirants who contested in the election include David Sabo Kente, Anthony Manzo, Danladi Kifasi, and Saleh Mama, who got 0 votes. While commending General Burutai, the APC and the Independent National Electoral Commission for a credible exercise, Emmanuel Bwacha thanked the delegates for supporting him and promised to ensure dividend of democracy for the people if elected the next governor of Taraba State. And also, the Kano Division of Appeal Court on Friday sacked Mohammed Abacha as the People's Democratic Party PDP governorship candidate in the state. The appellate court set aside the judgment of a Kano Federal High Court that recognized Mohammed Abacha as the PDP candidate in the state. The court also ordered that Sadiq Wali, who was earlier recognized by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), be recognized as the valid governorship candidate of the party. In a unanimous judgment, just by Justice Usman Musali-led 3-man panel held that Abacha had no locus standi to challenge the primary election that produced Wali, since he never participated in the poll. And also, the Independent National Electoral Commission said arrangements for credible conduct of the 2023 general elections are in top gear as it allayed fears that the Commission is having financial constraint for the poll. INEC Admin Secretary in Kaduna, Awal Mashi, said this during a sensitization meeting with stakeholders in Kaduna. Bello Musa reports.
The meeting had in attendance security agencies, political parties, civil society organizations, religious and traditional leaders. Stakeholders at the meeting raised some observations and concerns that need to be addressed before the election to have hit-free election in the state.
What is the legal implication of holding an election of this magnitude without a substantive Resident Electoral Commission.
Any letters concerning us? No, things have been going fine, but it's the latest we are concerned now. Is there any latest?
So we are praying and pleading with you that you should never show sympathy to any of the political parties.
Why these people are buying the PVCs? What's the implication? Because even if they do, if the PVC is not yours, you can't vote. So,
responding to the issues raised by the stakeholders, the Administration Secretary Awal Mashi said the Commission had recently conducted mock accreditation to ascertain the functionality and efficacy of BVAS machine, assuring the public of unbiased conduct of the polls in Kaduna State.
Based on what we experienced during the mock accreditation, we will be able to know what we are going to face during the 2023 general election. And alhamdulillah, like I said, we faced very little or no problem.
Other stakeholders pledged to take the sensitization campaign to their subject in order to assist INEC to have frank-free election.
We are expected to enlighten our subject, at least to impart the knowledge or the sensitization we receive from INEC to disseminate it to our subject.
Women are 95% that cast their votes. Moreover, apart from that, we talk about women that are pregnant women, the ones that are carrying babies, and the age. These women are supposed to be given their right to cast their vote immediately.
Mashi said that about 408,000 new permanent voter card and 228,000 orders transferred from other locations were received by the Commission, and almost 90% of them have been collected by the owners before the close of the PVC distribution exercise. He said that the sensitive materials for the election were already secured at the Central Bank of Nigeria, while 70% of the non-sensitive materials have already been distributed to the INEC state offices. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Opinion polls ahead of election is a global practice, especially in advanced democracies, with a view to gauge the mood of the electorate and project possible outcome. Nigerians have witnessed series of such opinion sampling by various organizations which have recorded minimal acceptance among the electorate. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman speaks to political analysts on the credibility and impact of such polls in a developing democracy. Take a look.
Opinion poll, especially the one relating to election, is meant to provide a direction as to where the pendulum could swing in a democratic contest. While the sampling tool is accorded some level of credibility and acceptance in developed democracies, the situation is not the same with developing democracies such as Nigeria.
The polls are so important that we have to build, on it with so much integrity, especially in dealing with policy issues.
Beyond the credibility issues, political analysts say low literacy level among some respondents and the exclusion of critical segment of the society makes sampling extremely elitist.
It depends on what is your variables. What variables did you choose? If you choose literate people, the elite has a different predilections from the people in rural communities who are more like subjects.
The poll can also show you how different demographics in the country feel about certain issues. For instance, what are the policy and the socio-economic issues people care about?
Sudden change in social and political trajectory, analysts say, could also render such opinion sampling obsolete and far from current realities, even as it provides opportunity for contestants to strategize ahead of election.
It does not mean that the election will reflect what the poll has said, but it's a pointer that in this control group, this is the feeling.
It has its own utility value because it's supposed to help you in planning, to plan and to know your areas of strength, area of weaknesses, where you need to put more resources.
As Nigerians go to the polls in less than 2 weeks from now, it remains to be seen if opinion sampling conducted in the build-up to the 2023 election is anything to go by. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Ahead of the general elections, observers are worried that information is being weaponized on an unprecedented scale, especially among young people, in a bid to disrupt the peaceful conduct of the voting process. Now, in order to combat voter misinformation, disinformation, and improve inclusive voter and civic education, stakeholders are advising the youth to ensure only verified information regarding the elections are circulated. Here's the report.
Credibility of the electoral process can be ensured through addressing the menace of fake news among the young population. The challenge is to censor the use of new technologies without jeopardizing the benefits of digital media in the search of a free and democratic system.
To be able to query the source of information they are getting on their smartphones and on television and radio will really go a long way in bringing integrity to the 2023 general elections in the country. Because this is the very first time that young people are very much interested in participating, unlike previous elections. And we want to ensure that their participation is meaningful, to ensure that they begin now to build the future that they want to see.
Generally, you know that young people, with all due respect, are used to being mobilized for the wrong reasons, either for political violence or for data boys. If you check those who peddle misinformation online, they are generally young people. So by this empowerment, they can then speak to their peers that we can actually burn this country with fake news. We can burn this country if our intention is wrong. They need to build Nigeria, because Nigeria is ours. And building Nigeria is through elections, and because you vote rightly.
These young people agree it is necessary to combat the spread of fake news if the electoral process is to be free, fair, and credible.
With this information, and I believe that other people will be doing the same thing, like stepping down the training, it's going to help really reduce the amount of fake news that goes around, and also help curb issues that can arise, because when there's fake news, there's a possibility that it can cause conflicts, can cause violence. But when more people are informed, less violence activities will take place, because people would actually be looking out for passing the right information.
You see, there are some information that are passed out to change the perception of people towards a particular candidate. So this kind of information, when we counter them, people will know, okay, that information that we saw was untrue.
The use of fake news, half-truths, and non-rational arguments to manipulate public opinion in pursuit of political objectives is a danger to peaceful elections and democracy. It is a growing threat that must be curbed. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, as part of activities to commemorate this year's International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation or Circumcision, residents of Ovia Southwest Local Government Area of Edo State have been sensitized on the need to report and speak against the practice while joining others across the globe to put an end to it. Nafisa Bello completes the report.
In attendance at the sensitization program held at the Ovia Southwest Local Government Council were elders from the locality, representatives of traditional rulers, market women, religious leaders, youth, and others. They were educated on the need to shun every form of gender-based violence, particularly female genital mutilation.
Sensitize our people so that they'll go back home to make sure that female child are no longer circumcised.
Civil society organizations, development partners, activists, and other relevant stakeholders to raise awareness, renew commitments, and reiterate that female genital mutilation is an unacceptable practice and a violation of women and girls' basic human rights.
The awareness program was more like an interactive session as the resource person, Dr. Hadiza Okunwobo, from the Department of Public Law, Faculty of Law of the University of Benin, entertained questions from participants, amongst whom cited ignorance as a major reason for the practice in parts of the state. Okunwobo spoke extensively on the consequences and how to join forces towards its total eradication.
Why they want to get this campaign
they will remove one area. That is the small one. The bigger one, they will remove the whole area. Then soon they will stitch and close. That is the one.
Traditional rulers and religious leaders were not left out, as they promised to pass the message to their various bodies.
Says is that we have to support not to be circumcising a woman, because they have in the future they have an effect.
Female genital this thing is not allowed in Islam. It's only allowed for holy men. Even it's written in the Holy Quran. As the head of the Christian body in this local government, we call the zonal coordinators and the executives, and through them the information will be disseminated to the grassroots.
And we are going to do our best to take this message to the nooks and crannies of Edo State. Together, we say no to female genital mutilation.
According to the World Health Organization, WHO, female genital mutilation or circumcision is a clear violation of fundamental human rights. So, report and speak against it. Nafisa Bello, Trust TV News, Benin.
No fewer than 15 million children are subjected to child labor in Nigeria, according to statistics released by the International Labour Organization, ILO. As a strategy to tackle unacceptable labor practices involving children, the global body is engaging stakeholders in the regulation of content fit for children based on the National Broadcasting Code. Noel Sampson was at the venue of the conversation and has more of the details.
Child labor refers to the work that is mentally, physically, socially, or morally dangerous and harmful to children, and it interferes with their schooling. A key partner in clearly defining child labor, the broadcast industry, which through its programming can draw attention to issues that contribute to the search.
They are aware that a substantial percentage of Nigeria's population is children. Nigeria is projected to have over 217 million population, out of which about over 100 million are under the age of 18. As future leaders of our dear country, these children need our protection because of their inability and vulnerability.
Worrying situation about the statistics showing the level of child labor in Nigeria. That's one. Two, the need to streamline and the mainstream child programming within the child broadcasting belt.
Stakeholders believe that a clear-cut roadmap should be designed that would expose societal dislocations such as poverty and lack of education, which contribute to child labor.
This meeting, the ILO has a collaboration with the National Orientation Agency to raise awareness on child labor issues, especially the implementation of the National Social Behavioral Communication Change Strategy that was developed by the National Steering Committee on Child Labor. So NBS now have have the responsibility of implementing that strategy.
Everyone will be going away now with the idea of having to come up with a way to ensure that we kick out child labor from society. Create the awareness. Not too many people know that what they're doing right now is child labor. I mean, even a lot of people do not know that even in your own house, your child can be into child labor. So, but from what we've just done, the awareness has been created, and everyone, especially media organizations, are going back right now to develop and devise means and plans of making the public aware.
Child labor can result in extreme bodily and mental harm and even death. It can lead to slavery and sexual or economic exploitation. In nearly every case, it cuts children off from schooling and healthcare, restricting their fundamental rights and threatening their futures. Noel Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Nasarawa State Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has arrested 5 suspected homosexuals in Lafia and Doma local government areas of the state. Public Relations Officer of the command, Jerry Victor, paraded the suspects in Lafia. Correspondent Abubakar Abdullahi sent in this report as presented from our studio.
Parading the suspects before journalists in Lafia, Public Relations Officer of Nasarawa State Command of the NSCDC, Jerry Victor, said the command succeeded in arresting the suspected 5 homosexuals following intelligence from a brother of one of the suspects. He said, having observed strange behavior, a brother of one of the suspects reported his attitudinal change to the command, which swung into action by inviting the suspect, who later admitted and revealed the identity of his accomplices in the act.
So at the end of the day, we invited Muhammad Mutawakil to come to this command headquarters for a little chat. And at the end of the day, we got to understand that there is some traits of this behavior in him. So after a little more investigation, he now revealed to us that he is into homosexuality. And at the end of the day, he was the one that mentioned the other culprits that were brought on board. And of course, to the dismay of our officers who went to arrest them, immediately they came around, they confessed to the crime, that this is what they've been into. Mutawakil told us that he resides in Doma, and he has friends all around within the state. Sometimes he comes down to Lafia, most times he stays in Doma. And they have their own undisclosed locations within that kind of places where they commit this kind of heinous act.
The NSCDC PRO said after arresting the suspects at different locations in Lafia and Doma local government areas of the state, the 5 suspected homosexuals have admitted committing the offences while others are at large. He explained that investigations are ongoing, after which the suspects would be charged to court. Jerry Victor cautioned the public against engaging in such immoral acts and other criminal activities capable of tarnishing individuals and societal image. One of the suspects interviewed admitted committing the alleged offence but pleaded for mercy on behalf of other suspects.
A civil society organization, Men Against Rape Foundation, has commended the Lagos State government for reviewing the charges brought against one Ikechukwu Ogbonna over his role in events leading to the death of his wife, Bimbo Ogbonna. Initially, police in Lagos State had charged Ogbonna for failing to offer prompt care to his wife when fire broke out in their home, following video evidence which showed Bimbo was trapped inside the residence by fire, and the husband, rather than call for rescue, recorded the burning house from outside the premises. Speaking at a press conference in Abuja, Lemi Ugegbe commended the Lagos State government for being responsive to ensure that Ogbonna is properly charged.
On the merit of your claim and look at it very dispassionately. It's incumbent on us as civil society to also make it public to appreciate such government agencies and the government itself for taking a responsible step. So this is really to appreciate them for taking a step that will serve the interest of justice, that it will also signal a note of warning, resounding warning, to all persons who are guilty of intimate partner violence and those who think that they can get away with it.
You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. We'll be back after this break.
Security has to be an area they must work on.
We are going to have our own country called Biafra.
You are afraid to come out and move about, lest one hoodlum or the other will harm you.
People who have guns and the rest of them could be attacked.
How about we, the helpless citizens?
Olo office was attacked. The ISU office was attacked.
I haven't even seen where people are going to collect their PVC for voting.
The IPOB people, they're not criminals, but they're just crying out for justice and help.
We will deploy reasonably and strategically to make sure that we decimate the activities of these bad elements who are causing problems in the land.
Part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening.
Now looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130.
Created a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secure are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Already, if you look at England squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
Welcome back. If you're just joining, this is News Hour on Trust TV. Let's now join Chiamaka Nwafo for more in business.
The federal government has revealed that Nigeria houses 46 of the 240 free trade zones in Africa, saying the number could increase further as more states apply for FTZ licenses. The Managing Director of the Nigerian Export Processing Zones Authority, NEPSA, Adesoji Adeshuba, who disclosed this, said 30 of the 46 FTZs in Nigeria are currently functional. Adeshuba, who noted that there are more than 1,300 free trade zones across China, which it uses as a strategy for development, added that Africa can imitate China, with Nigeria taking the lead. The Debt Management Office has listed 4 bonds valued at 360 billion naira for auction. Announcing the bond auction on behalf of the federal government, the DMO listed the first offer as a February 2028 FGN bond valued at 90 billion naira at an interest rate of 13.98% per annum, while the second is an April 2032 FGN bond valued at 90 billion naira at 12.50% interest rate per annum. In addition, is an April 2037 FGN bond valued at 90 billion naira at 16.24% interest rate per annum. The fourth offer is an April 2049 FGN bond, also valued at 90 billion naira at an interest rate of 14.80% per annum. Has a 30-year reopening. It's announced that the auction date is February 13th, while the settlement date is February 1. And finally, in stocks, the Nigerian exchange closed negative amidst buy interest and sell-offs as bears dominated proceedings, driving down the broad market. The all-share index depreciated by 0.05% to close at 54,327.3 points. In the same vein, market capitalization declined by 18 billion naira to close at 29.590 trillion naira, while the year-to-date returns settled at 5.29%. Market breadth closed negative as corn oil led 13 gainers and 21 losers, topped by internet gins at the end of Friday's session. On aggregate, a total volume of 175.6 million units of shares valued at 5.32 billion naira was traded in 3,563 deals. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo.
Thank you very much, Chiamaka, for business. Now to the international scene. Kurdish militants from the outlawed separatist PKK group announced a temporary halt in fighting to facilitate rescue work after the huge earthquake that struck southeastern Turkey and parts of Syria. Monday's earthquake has reshaped the political landscape while claiming more than 21,000 lives. The Kurdistan Workers' Party, PKK, has been proscribed as a terrorist organization by the Ankara and its main Western allies for waging a brutal insurgency that has claimed tens of thousands of lives since 1984. The group's co-leader, Semil Baik, told the PKK-linked ANF news agency that thousands of their people were under the rubble and urged a focus on recovery work rather than waging war. Baik said the pause in fighting would stay in place until the pain of the people is relieved and their wounds are healed. Government forces have been used to combat and have used combat drones to push Kurdish fighters from Turkey's southeastern regions to the northern stretches of neighboring Iraq. And also, death toll from a cholera outbreak in Malawi has surpassed 1,300 people. Malawi had registered 40,284 cases and 1,316 deaths in an outbreak that began in March 2022, with the country averaging over 500 new cases every day, according to Charles Mwansambo, who spoke during a briefing held by the World Health Organization's Africa office. Cholera outbreaks occur on a regular basis in Malawi, generally during the rainy season, from November to March, but the yearly death toll is only around 100. According to the World Health Organization, Malawi's current outbreak is the deadliest on record, surpassing outbreaks in 1998 to 1999 and 2000 to 2002, which resulted in 860 and 968 deaths, respectively. Malawi had launched 2 oral immunization programs, but a global spike in cholera infections has put a strain on vaccine supply. And also, the Congolese army have regained a town west of Goma hours after hundreds of people fled an outbreak of gunfire for fear of M23 rebel incursion. Worried residents had left Sake earlier in the day, carrying their belongings along a 15-kilometer road to Goma to avoid the fighting between the army and M23 rebels. The government accuses M23 of mass atrocities against civilians over the past year. M23 has continued to reject the claims. The Congolese army did not comment about the shots, and the M23 did not respond to requests for comment either. The army and the rebels have been clashing north of Sake since Monday, according to Kivu Security Tracker, which maps unrest in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. And in sports, Manchester City have already been condemned over alleged financial rule breaches. The Premier League charged City with more than 100 breaches of its financial rules on Monday. A 2-year ban from European competitions for breaching UEFA's financial fair play regulations was overturned by the Court of Arbitration for Sports in 2020. The Premier League has referred City to an independent commission over alleged rule breaches between 2009 and 2018, during which time the club won 3 of their 6 Premier League titles. It also accused City of not cooperating since the investigation started in December 2018. And also, 2-time NBA champion Kevin Durant has joined the Phoenix Suns in trade from the Brooklyn Nets. The 34-year-old will boost an already impressive Suns lineup featuring all-star guards Chris Paul and Devin Booker, as well as center DeAndre Ayton, who was the top pick in the 2018 draft. The Suns also acquired TJ Warren, with the Nets receiving Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and 4 first-round picks. Russell Westbrook has moved to the Utah Jazz from the Los Angeles Lakers. The point guard, who struggled for form in 2 difficult seasons with the Lakers, departed in a 3-team, 8-player deal before Thursday trade deadline. Let's now join Adeniyi Ajisafe for more in sports.
Nigerian Volleyball Federation has announced 13 February 2023 as commencement date for Beach Volleyball President's Cup. The 4th edition of the President's Beach Volleyball Cup is built to hold at Ahmadu Bello Stadium in Kaduna, Kaduna State. Technical representative of Nigerian Volleyball Federation, Martin Melande, says the Beach Volleyball Cup will herald the programs of the Federation with 2 categories, which include the junior and senior categories, to discover more talent. as the leadership of Nigerian Volleyball Federation is working around the clock in ensuring the beach players get adequate preparations to excel at the forthcoming African Games in Ghana, as well as other championships. Nigeria dominated West Africa in the junior and senior categories, and it is high time for Nigeria to claim back the dominance in the continent. Nigeria will be attending a series of international championships like African Youth Games, African Games, and African Beach Volleyball Championship and Olympic qualifiers. And in football, Nigeria's under-20 boys, Flying Eagles, have now settled in Morocco's commercial and economic capital, Casablanca, for a one-week final training camp ahead of the African Under-20 Cup of Nations starting on 19 February 2023 in Egypt. The team is upbeat about their readiness to sustain the winning mentality when the tournament kick off in 9 days. After winning a series of matches and scoring a lot of goals, Nigeria's first match as they attempt an 8th continental title will be against Senegal's Club Lions at Cairo International Stadium on Sunday, 19 February. Flying Eagles, two-time FIFA World Cup runners-up and one-time bronze medalists, will face host Egypt on Wednesday, 22nd February, and Mozambique on Saturday, 25th February. Semi-finalists at the 12th Team Championship in Egypt will qualify to fly Africa's flag at the FIFA Under-20 World Cup Finals to be staged in Indonesia, 20th May to 11th June 2023. That's Sport News. I am Adeniyi Ajishafe.
And that's it for Trust News Hour tonight. Do well to follow us across all our media platforms. I'm Sakir Ibrahim. Thanks for watching.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.